Of course, here's a tilde 750, word speech segment expanding key point 1, see feelings as weather, not identity. Written in a seamless, conversational speech style, as though Sarah Jakes Roberts is delivering it, but without naming her, and in alignment with the other keynotes. I'm trying one final time to talk to you, and I need you to open this, not later, not when you feel ready, but now. Because I know how heavy it gets, carrying around these feelings that seem to wrap themselves around your chest and squeeze. I know what it's like to feel convinced that the way you feel is the way things will always be. But listen to me. Your feelings are not your identity. They're like weather. They come, they change, they pass. Sometimes we walk through life like we're wearing labels pinned to our shirts. Anxious, depressed, broken, and the problem is we start believing those labels define who we are as if there's no part of us beyond them. But feelings are not fixed truths, they're conditions of the moment. Just as the sun might blaze through clouds that seemed endless only moments before, your emotions can shift, sometimes quietly, sometimes suddenly. And the person you truly are is so much vaster, so much deeper than any passing storm. You might be sitting here today with a storm raging inside you. Fear, sadness, guilt, shame, maybe you woke up, and before your feet even hit the floor, a flood of dark thoughts swept over you, telling you you're behind, you're failing, you're not enough. I've been there, and I want you to know that feelings like that can feel permanent, but they are no more permanent than yesterday's rain. I'm not saying what you feel isn't real. Pain is real, loneliness is real. But what's dangerous is believing that because you feel worthless, you are worthless. Or that because you feel afraid, your life is over. Feelings shout at you like they've got the final say, but they don't. They're weather systems moving through the sky of your consciousness. They might be violent storms, yes, but storms run out of rain. And here's the thing, the more you try to suppress the storm, the longer it seems to linger. Have you noticed that? The more you say, I shouldn't feel this way, the deeper you get sucked into the current. Instead, what if you stood under that sky and simply said, there's sadness, there's fear. What if you realized you're the sky, not the storm? When you watch a thunderstorm from a distance, you can see lightning flash and hear the thunder roll, but you know it's going to pass. And when you step back and observe your emotions rather than getting swept away by them, you create space. In that space, there's breath. In that space, there's hope. We live in a culture obsessed with constant positivity. People tell you, just think happy thoughts, or just choose joy, as though it's as simple as flicking a switch. And then, when you can't flick that switch, you end up feeling even worse. Now you're sad and ashamed for being sad. I'm not here to tell you to fake happiness. I'm telling you that even if you're feeling low, it doesn't mean you're stuck there forever. You can let your feelings pass through you without letting them define you. You can sit quietly and say, I'm feeling anxious right now, instead of, I am an anxious person. You can say, I'm moving through sorrow, instead of, I am broken. One is a state, the other is an identity. And there's a world of freedom in that difference, because here's what's true. You have survived every storm you've ever faced. You've lived through nights you thought would swallow you whole. You've watched your heart mend itself in places you once thought were irreparably shattered. You've woken up to sunlight even after seasons that felt like endless winter, so don't give your feelings more authority than they deserve. They're messengers, not masters. So if you're sitting there right now, weighed down by negativity, breathe, close your eyes. Imagine your emotions as weather clouds drifting, rain falling, thunder rolling, but always moving. Not fixed, not forever. The sky behind them remains vast, untouched. That sky is who you are. That sky is your resilience, your quiet power. It's easy to forget this when you're in the middle of a storm, but please remember, the storm does not get to name you. It does not get to write your story. It does not get the final word. You are still here. You are bigger than your darkest hour. And that's why I'm trying one final time to talk to you, because I believe with everything in me that you are not your feelings. You are the one who witnesses them, and there's so much more for you beyond this moment. Open this and remember, storms run out of rain. Absolutely. Here's a tilde 750, word speech segment expanding key point 2, drop the war with your mind. In the style of Sarah Jakes Roberts without naming her, flowing seamlessly and keeping it warm, direct, and conversational. I'm trying one final time to talk to you, and I'm praying you'll hear me because there's something you've been doing that's wearing you out more than any of your problems ever could. You've been at war with your own mind. You've been fighting the very thoughts you wish would leave you alone, swinging your fists in the dark, hoping you can beat back fear or anger or grief. And I want you to know you don't have to fight so hard. See, we get taught somewhere along the way that if we feel pain or fear or insecurity, it means something is wrong with us. That we should push it down, ignore it, just think positive. So you try to push those feelings out. You slam the door in their faces, but here's the thing, the more you resist your thoughts, the louder they scream to be heard. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You press it down with all your strength, thinking that's the way to control it. But eventually, your arms get tired, your energy wears out, and when it finally pops up again, it splashes you in the face harder than before. That's what happens when you keep trying to drown your thoughts and feelings instead of letting them float. I know you think if I stop fighting these thoughts, won't they win? Won't they swallow me up? No. That's the lie your fear tells you. The truth is, the more you watch your thoughts without wrestling with them, the weaker their grip becomes. You don't have to believe everything your mind says, and you don't have to argue with it either. Sometimes the mind will say, "You're a failure." Instead of launching into a debate, what if you just said, "Interesting, my mind is telling me I'm a failure right now. That's all." You don't have to prove it wrong in that moment. You don't have to drown it out with noise. Just notice it. Give it a nod like you'd acknowledge a rude person on the street, and then keep walking, because here's what's real, you are not your thoughts. You are the one who hears them, and the more you learn to observe them like clouds drifting across the sky, the less power they have to dictate how you feel and who you believe yourself to be. I know this sounds simple, but I know it's not always easy. We've all got scars inside our minds, old memories, regrets, moments we'd rather erase. And sometimes those memories burst into your day like uninvited guests. You'll be washing dishes, driving to work, and suddenly your chest tightens because your mind has dragged you back into some painful moment. Your instinct is to fight it off, to scream, "Why am I thinking about this again?" But what if you didn't? What if instead you whispered to yourself, "It's just a thought, it's not happening right now, I am safe in this moment," because you are. Some of the things chasing you are shadows from years ago. They can't touch you now unless you keep wrestling with them. Fighting your mind only feeds those shadows, gives them shape and weight. But when you observe them without fear, they begin to fade. You've been through so much already. You've survived heartbreak, disappointments, betrayals. You've walked out of seasons that tried to convince you they'd last forever. And yet, here you are, breathing, still standing. That's proof that you don't have to win every fight inside your head to keep going. I'm not telling you to pretend your struggles don't exist. I'm telling you that you can face them without picking up your sword every single time. You don't have to keep spilling your own energy in a battle against your thoughts, because your mind is clever. It knows exactly how to trip you up. It'll say, "You'll never get over this." It'll whisper, "Nobody really cares." And before you know it, you're tangled up trying to argue, trying to convince yourself of the truth. But there's another way. You can hear those words and simply let them pass, like a train rushing by while you stand safely on the platform. You don't have to jump on board every time your mind offers a thought, and when you drop the war with your mind, you discover something beautiful: silence. Space, clarity, a moment of peace, and sometimes in that stillness, an answer comes that you couldn't hear before. A new idea, a sliver of hope, a gentle reminder that you're stronger than you think. So if you're listening to me right now, and your mind is noisy and cruel and relentless, I'm begging you, stop fighting it. You're only exhausting yourself. Let the thoughts be there, observe them, and remind yourself that they're just passing weather in the vastness of who you are. You're bigger than anything your mind can say about you, and that's why I'm trying one final time to talk to you. Because there's freedom waiting for you when you stop fighting the battle you were never meant to win. Of course, here's a tilde 750 word speech segment expanding key point 3. Life's dance includes dark and light. In the style of Sarah Jakes Roberts without naming her, seamless, conversational, and carrying the emotional resonance of a spoken message. I'm trying one final time to talk to you because I need you to know that life is not punishing you when things feel dark. It's not that you're doing something wrong because you're struggling or because you've got questions you can't answer. It's just that life is made of contrasts. It's joy and sorrow. It's laughter and tears. It's mountaintops and valleys. And sometimes both exist in the same breath. We spend so much of our lives believing that happiness means there should be no pain, that if we're hurting, we must have missed the mark. But that's not true. Life is a dance that moves to the rhythm of both light and darkness. And the more we try to cling only to the light, the more we suffer when the night comes, as it always does. I know it's hard to hear this when you're in the middle of your midnight, when you're standing in the ashes of plans you thought were unshakable. When the people you counted on turned out not to be who you believed they were, when your body or your mind feels like it's betraying you. In those moments, it's tempting to believe that the darkness is the whole story, that the pain is the end of the book. But it's not. Darkness has a way of shaping us, of carving out space in our hearts so we can hold more light when it comes. Some of the deepest wisdom you'll ever carry will come from the nights you thought would break you. I've learned that sorrow teaches you how to cherish joy, that grief deepens your capacity for love. That silence makes you hear your own voice clearer than you ever could when life was loud. And the very moments that you wish you could erase might be the soil where your purpose is growing, unseen. See, you can't choose only half the dance. You can't spin and twirl in the light and then refuse to move when the music turns somber. Both songs belong to you, both have beauty in them. I know we all wish life was just the highlight reel. Just the days when everything goes right, when the sun is shining, when people love us exactly as we need them to. But if life were only the light, you'd never learn the strength that blooms in the dark. You wouldn't know how capable you are of getting back up after you fall. You wouldn't know the power of compassion until you felt the sting of your own wounds. You wouldn't know how precious a moment of laughter is unless you'd tasted silence heavy with sorrow. Some of you are carrying guilt right now because you feel sad even though good things are happening in your life. Or because you're happy while someone else is suffering, and I want you to hear me, life isn't either slash or. It's both slash and. You can be grateful and still feel weary. You can love your blessings and still cry some nights because you're human and your heart is big and tender and alive. You're allowed to let joy and sorrow lie side by side without thinking it means something is wrong with you. I know there's a voice in your head telling you that if you were stronger, you'd always be positive. That if your faith were bigger, you'd never feel afraid. That if you were truly healed, you'd never have days when grief knocks on your door again. But none of that is true. Light and dark will always dance together. Your growth isn't measured by how little pain you feel. It's measured by how gently you hold yourself when the pain comes. Sometimes the light shows you who you want to be. The darkness reveals who you already are. I want you to remember the times you've laughed so hard your sides hurt. I also want you to remember the nights you felt like you might not survive, and realize you did. Both of those moments live inside you. And together they make you whole, so don't curse the darkness. Learn to navigate it. Light candles in it. Sit with yourself in it, and know that dawn is coming. And when it does, it will feel brighter because you remember what night was like. I'm trying one final time to talk to you because I need you to understand the dark moments do not cancel the light. And the light does not erase the dark. They dance together, and in that dance, you become something beautiful, strong, and real. Of course, here's a tilde 750, word speech segment expanding key point 4, return to this moment. In the style of Sarah Jakes Roberts without naming her, flowing seamlessly, warm and conversational, culminating in a strong closing line. I'm trying one final time to talk to you because I know how easy it is to live everywhere except here. Your body can be sitting in a chair, but your mind's racing ahead into a future that hasn't happened yet, or rewinding back to a past you can't change. And I get it. When pain is heavy, the mind goes searching for answers. It tries to figure out how to avoid getting hurt again, how to fix what went wrong, how to guarantee that next time will be different. But sometimes, all that searching becomes a prison. Some of you are exhausted not because your life is so full, but because your mind is carrying you through 1,000 imaginary conversations and worst case scenarios. You're replaying what they said, what you should have said, what you're afraid they'll say tomorrow, and all the while, the present moment is slipping through your fingers like water. The mind loves to convince you that the answer is always somewhere else. When I finally lose this weight, when I make more money, when I get married, when they apologize. But life doesn't start later. Life is happening now, and if you keep waiting for some perfect moment in the future, you'll miss the beauty of the imperfect moment you're living in today. Sometimes we think presence is only for the peaceful moments, a quiet sunrise, a gentle breeze, a still mind. But the present moment belongs to you even when it's messy, even when your heart is pounding and your thoughts are loud. You don't have to wait until things calm down to come home to yourself. I want you to know that you can feel pain and still be present. You can feel fear and still anchor yourself in right now, because right now is the only place where life is actually happening. The past is a memory, the future is a possibility, but this moment, this breath, this heartbeat is real. Some of you are carrying regret like a chain around your neck. You keep looking back, replaying every mistake, trying to edit your past as if you could change the ending. But the past doesn't exist anymore except in your mind, and no matter how many times you revisit it, you can't step into that scene and rewrite the lines. Others are trapped in fear of what's coming. You're worried about losing what you love, or not becoming who you think you're supposed to be. You're imagining all the ways things could go wrong, but the future is just a story your mind is telling you. It hasn't arrived yet, and it might surprise you with goodness you can't even imagine. Right now is the doorway through which peace walks in. Even if your circumstances don't change immediately, there's a stillness waiting for you when you release the past and stop borrowing, suffering from the future. I know it sounds simple, be here now, but I also know how hard it is when the world feels like it's spinning, when you're hurting, when there are 1,000 things demanding your attention. So let's make it practical. If your mind is racing, pause and name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. Bring yourself back into your body. Into this room, into this breath, because here's what's true. Most of the things you're terrified of are not happening right now. Right now, you are breathing. Right now, you have survived everything you thought you couldn't. Right now, there is air in your lungs and a heart that refuses to give up on you. I know there are things you wish were different. I know there's pain you're carrying, but right here in this moment, you also have strength. You have resilience, you have wisdom you didn't have a year ago, and you have the chance in this very breath to choose to keep going. Life is made up of single moments strung together. Don't miss them waiting for a perfect someday. Don't miss them because you're staring backward or peering too far ahead. Look around you, feel the ground beneath your feet, hear the sound of your own breath. This is your life. Not tomorrow, not yesterday, right now, and that's why I'm trying one final time to talk to you, because everything you've been searching for is waiting for you here in this moment.